Okay, we're at the Mount Royal site. This is west of Crescent City. This is an old Indian burial site. It was rediscovered by a guy named Clarence Moore, who was an archaeologist, and this talks about him here. You can look him up to find out more about him, but it was in the late 19th century that he rediscovered this place. But Bartram was here, and Bartram gave a very interesting account. About 50 yards distance from the landing place stands a magnificent Indian mound. About 15 years ago I visited this place, at which time there were no settlements of white people, but all appeared wild and savage, yet in that uncultivated state it possessed an almost inexpressible air of grandeur, which was now entirely changed. At that time, 15 years ago, when he was writing this, which was in 1766 that he visited it, there was a considerable extent of old fields round about the mound. There was also a large orange grove, together with palm and live oaks extending from near the mound along the banks downward, all of which has since been cleared away to make room for planting ground. But what contributed greatly towards completing the magnificence of the scene was a noble Indian highway which led from the great mound on a straight line 3/4 of a mile, first through a point or wing of the orange grove and continuing through an awful forest of live oaks. It was terminated by palms and laurel magnolias on the verge of an oblong artificial lake, which was on the edge of an extensive green level savanna. This grand highway was about 50 yards wide, sunk a little below the common level, and the earth thrown up on each side, making a bank about 2 feet high. And that's more or less an artist's rendering of it. Here's another picture of it. That's a Bartram picture of the original that he saw. So in 1776 he would have seen this, what he described. And as we know from other sites, the Indians, this was a burial mound. This is a cemetery. And as we know from other sites, he saw that they had taken a great deal of effort to memorialize their dead. With the moat leading up to it, which probably would have held, depending on the importance of the person being buried, it probably would have held some sort of cortege, some sort of entourage, some procession of dignitaries, maybe the chieftain, the king, whomever. We're standing on top of it now. It would have been bigger back then. Bartram saw it 300 years ago, and we're seeing it now. And he saw it long after everyone had gone. There was no one around, so the trees he was describing are gone. The moat that he was describing, the oblong artificial lake, all that are gone, but this is still here, and we're standing on a burial ground right now. It's pretty neat stuff.